Now, our story here on the White Pass Railroad is actually intertwined with the beginning of the Klondike Gold Rush. Let me take you back to the year 1896. In the month of August, Skookum Jim, Dawson Charlie, George Carmack, and his wife, Kate Carmack, were up in the Klondike area of the Yukon when they discovered the gold that would change the course of history. Now, the gold rush itself started innocently enough about a year later, once that gold found its way down to the west coast of the United States. Two ships, the Portland and the Excelsior, docked in Seattle and San Francisco carrying stacks of yellow metal. The news of gold spread like wildfire nationwide, and at that point the West Coast was delirious with gold rush fever, and the race to get up to the Klondike was on. Within days, thousands flocked to West Coast towns trying to book their passage north. The fact that the Klondike was more than 1,500 miles away and over a treacherous mountain pass would surprisingly not deter very many. Gold fever had truly taken its hold on these people, and everyone wanted a chance to try their luck in the new frontier. All through the summer and on into the winter of 1897 and early 98, stampeders, as they were known, who were those gold seekers, they poured into the newly created tent and shack towns of Skagway and a town just near Skagway known as Dyea. Now, Skagway, which was the head of the White Pass Trail, one of those trails those eager gold seekers used to get to the gold fields, was founded by a man named Captain William Moore. I'll tell you a little bit more about the White Pass Trail and those story quests for gold in a little. For now, I'll leave you with the beautiful views of the Tongass National Forest and the Skagway River here to our left. Some of you might ask yourself, well, why was this whole gold rush thing such a big deal in the first place? Well, as the 19th century came to a close, a deep depression overwhelmed the United States. The nation was hurting from the Panic of 1893, which was brought on by the collapse of several prestigious companies. Anxiety about the future weighed heavily on citizens of every class as national unemployment skyrocketed. All around the world, the hue and cry that could be heard was Klondike. Those who were able to go were envied, and those whose obligations kept them at home were pitied. The quest for the Klondike became synonymous not only with the promise of fabulous wealth, but also with the opportunity for a bold frontier adventure. They could not have known at the time, but for the tens of thousands who tried, their hopes and dreams for riches eroded into brutal and desperate quests to survive as they began their journey over these very mountains. The largest obstacle was the journey over this here coastal mountain range, which is what we see all around us. Back then, stampeders primarily used two different trails to reach the goldfields up in the Yukon. There was the White Pass Trail, which started in Skagway, and then there was the Chilkoot Trail, which started 9 miles west of Skagway in a little town known as Dyea. Some stampeders chose the shorter, 35-mile-long but steeper Chilkoot Trail. Others chose the longer, 45-mile, less steep White Pass Trail because they believed that pack animals could potentially be used to carry their supplies, thus making their journey a little bit easier. But it turns out they were very wrong. As the trail wound its way through the mountains, it was bordered on one side by rock and dropped hundreds of feet down on the other. Stampeders quickly realized that one wrong step could very well be their last. There ain't no choice, said an old-timer, of choosing between the Chilkoot and the White Pass. One's hell, the other damnation. You're left here momentarily. You're going to start to notice a big teal-roofed building. Now this is the U.S. Customs House. Some people like to joke and say that this is our local IHOP because it's our International House of Passports. Now we haven't reached the actual border yet. That's still 12 miles north from here where we are headed up to the White Pass summit. Due to the rough the tallest steel cantilever bridge in the entire world, standing 215 feet from the valley floor. As we get closer to the bridge, you'll notice that it looks a bit run down, so get ready everybody, hold on tight. No, I am only joking you. You might notice that there is a massive hole in that bridge, so thankfully we will not be passing over that one today, as it was retired in 1969. After we pass the bridge, we'll be going through our second tunnel that's nearly 3 times as long as the previous one at 670 feet long. So once again, we will be in darkness for a few moments. So like I mentioned, this bridge was built in 1901, retired in 1969 when they were buying some heavier locomotives. So they stopped using this bridge and then built that new bridge and blasted out the tunnel. Congratulations, we have almost done it. In just a few moments, we'll have reached the White Pass summit and a peak elevation of 2,888 feet. Up on the left-hand side, just next to us, upward on a small rocky hill, you'll see a bronze obelisk. This obelisk represents the international border and the continental divide between the United States and Canada. The cabin you'll see to the left, just after that, is a replica of where the Northwest Mounted Police were stationed, checking to make sure that each stampeder had their required amount of supplies before they made their way into the Yukon. In front of the cabin, you'll see all the flags that represent the countries, territories, and states that our train runs through. You'll see the flag of the United States, Alaska, the Yukon Territory, and Canada. Welcome to British Columbia, Canada, everyone. Up here at the summit, we will be taking that loop in the track and make our way back down to the port of Skagway. Although the train may come to a stop, remember there is no getting off the train at any point. From here, it is quite a bit of a walk back down to Skagway, so please do remain on the train. You might have noticed some water here to our left. This is Summit Lake. So very originally named, as we are up here at the summit, but it doesn't get much wider than what we actually see here. But it is just around 5 miles long. It's part of a system of lakes known as the Ribbon Lake, so again, carved out by glacial activity. These are very skinny, long lakes all connected together. It can get up to depths of 250 feet, and it is the home to lake trout and Arctic grayling. Up here in Canada, some of my favorite landscape and plant life that we have. So if you look around, you might have noticed those tiny little trees that we're seeing. I think they're just adorable. When I first rode the train, I thought they were baby trees, maybe a couple of years old, but no, these are actually mostly hundreds of years old. Because of the harsh weather conditions up here, we get about 15 to 20 feet of snow. Weather temperatures dropping to -60 degrees Fahrenheit. Emerging from the tunnel, once again, we can see that steel cantilever bridge to